What's happening, guys? Welcome to another eclectic edition of PWT Podcast, episode 85. Yeah. Heading into 2025, and I am joined by, from the Last Call podcast, Chris Conor is in the building. Yeah. How you doing, guys?
I'm hanging in there. How you holding up, Bill? Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you and the family.
Oh, man. Thank you, bro. Yeah, you as well. I'm doing good. I'm staying warm. It's cold up here up north, and we're just chilling. We've had some snow days. We've had some ice days. And, yeah, I'm just enjoying doing lots of, like, holiday festivities and that. How about yourself, man? You a festive guy, or you a Grinch?
A little bit of both. It's just, but it's not been the holiday season this year. But, once the next couple of days, I'll get into it. And then, and Christmas Day, I'll try to...
I'm sending you
family and watch some football.
Yeah, I'm sending you some matching Tonga Twins ornaments. I get one Tonga twin, you get the other, and they actually connect when when we meet up. Guys, real quick, you can check out Chris Conor on the Last Call podcast at Last Call with Chris C is your Twitter handle, right?
Yep.
Boom, nailed it. Usually I suck at that. And then at Pro Wrestle Times everywhere, you already know. At Pro Wrestle Clips, we're at like 5,300 subs or 5,000, getting close to 5,300. So shout you all out for that. And then patreon.com/Pro Wrestle Times, where you get hours and hours and hours of exclusive content. I review things like 10 minutes of Tony Khan, every... wrestler who's ever been punked. I'm watching all the Tough Enough season 1 with Alt Jake. I'm watching Total Divas with my wife in 2025 coming up. I'm reacting to all the Botchamanias, and there's just hours of bonus stuff. So if you want to support, consider checking that out. But anyways, enough of the plugs. Let's get into the show because we got a lot to get to. Chris Conor, this is a TNA / Logan Paul sort of heavy focused episode. And we reviewed Turning Point here on one of the live shows. You did watch Turning Point, I'm assuming. Of course you did, because you're my TNA guy. What did you think of that event overall, and what you've been saying for the last year on this show and everywhere? Chris Conor's always saying, what do? Jordynne's going to leave. They need Tessa Blanchard. If Phil Marks has the pencil, are you bringing Tessa in? Are you bringing Tessa in? You ask it all the time. It's almost as if you maybe knew or something.
I mean, I had a feeling because you look at this landscape and there's not much out there. I mean, everybody says, "Oh, we got to sign this." Like, who's coming to TNA? Like, Mina Shirakawa technically could go, but she has a good little deal with Stardom. They're on good terms with AEW, and TNA's moved out from ever since they moved on from Scott D'Amore. They've closed New Japan, AAA, CMML, relationships. For them, it's not, big. So I get it. Yeah. Tessa's can be hard to like for a lot of people. I'm putting it mildly.
Yeah.
She's not racist. Say that much.
Right. Well, so like, for anybody who doesn't know, what are the accusations, or what are people alleging? Or it's pretty much well known that she's sort of a bully. People accuse her of being racist or saying racist things or talking down to talent who are people of color, etc. I don't know. But all of these wrestlers, like, I have tweets to sort of back it up. Like, people are saying, don't forget. So Izzy Wrestling posted this, like, Tessa Blanchard a while back said, what did she say? I have the tweets here. She's like, Jesus, it's hard because it's like,
who cares? I don't care about the tweets.
She says, "Hey, women, try supporting one another. Cool things happen." And it was because she was getting a lot of hate. That was like a year or 2 ago, 2 years ago, I want to say. And then here's all of these wrestlers tweeting stuff out. Like, she did more nasty stuff in Japan. Never forget. Practice what you preach. Sweetheart, I stand by. Whoever. She's a fun, loving person who would never disrespect anyone. Love you, Rosa. So I think that's Thunder Rosa. Priscilla Kelly, who's Gigi Dolan, says, remember publicly putting me down on Twitter last year for something that didn't involve you whatsoever, then continuing to drag my name to other people for it. Pepperidge Farm remembers. You should probably delete this tweet. Isla Dawn says, as someone who experienced her bullying firsthand, received regular verbal abuse, was spat on, had rumors spread about me, dealt with multiple attempts by you to blacklist me from other companies, plus more. I just pray you now follow your own advice. Chelsea Green says, you've consistently put down, bullied, and belittled countless female coworkers, including me. Is that support? Allison K says, remember when you spat in a black woman's face, called her the N-word in Japan? Was that you supporting women? The audacity of this tweet. And then Chelsea Green says, I remember that. So, like, god damn, man. So listen, I'm all about second chances. I'm all about people being able to redeem themselves. When people show you their true colors, oftentimes it's their true colors. However, it doesn't mean you can write everyone off, right? Like, there's people who get addicted to meth who turn around and fucking really end up helping people. There are people who murder people, say they're reformed, and then end up with a body in their freezer a month later. And you know what I mean? So who knows? But all I'm saying is that that's the old news. Chris, you're saying I don't think she's racist, and I think she gets a bad flack for all of that, or a bad reputation rather for all of that, and we should give her a second chance.
Well, the racist part here's what, and Brian BQ said it best. She was dating Ricochet, who's black. She married
Ricochet.
Yes, she dated him when they were both in WWE. They dated for a while. I forget, she dated Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix's brother. She married him and moved to Mexico. So she's racist. Yes, racist.
Yeah. Worst fucking racist I've ever. No, but you could also be racist towards, no, because Ricochet's black. So yeah, I was going to say maybe she just doesn't like black folk. And I don't mean to throw this out there. I'm not trying to, I don't know her, so I don't know. But seeing Chelsea Green, I can believe Isla Dawn and Chelsea Green.
Oh, I do. But
I can believe them all as well. It's not like I'm saying this stuff didn't happen, or no, they're just blowing it out of proportion. I think that's fucked up if she ever did that.
Let me jump in quickly. Quickly jump in. Look at some of the people who are beloved in WWE by Chelsea and all these people. Mm-hmm. Randy Orton, one of the biggest assholes for pardon my language, but he was an asshole. He even admitted it. I was kind of
Triple H, who literally did blackface, for the Nation of Domination.
We talk about that, Orton, Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin. You've had, CM Punk assaulted somebody. Were we forgetting about that? We've Brock Lesnar. As I said, you can go on. JBL, who all of a sudden now everybody wants to work with the Indies. This is pro wrestling. It is, unfortunately, there's bullying that goes around. You have alpha males, alpha females. They don't like a lot of these people. If they smell weakness, they will bully you. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and so Tessa Blanchard brings a high skill that TNA needs.
And high profile. Everyone's talking about it.
And look, the TNA women's division is paper thin. They've lost Deonna Purrazzo. They lost Naomi. They're losing Jordynne Grace. The Inspiration, Tenille Dashwood, Chelsea Green. They've hemorrhaged talent. So, look,
and this isn't
with her, and they brought her on.
Yeah, and this isn't something listen, if she spit on a black person and called them the N-word, that is repra-fucking-hensible, but it's not like something you cannot come back from. It's not like a Chris Benoit situation where literally people don't have lives anymore, but yes, that is, if she did do that to someone, that is dehumanizing them for sure. I would just say, hopefully she's taken the steps to. Someone else said, Chelsea Green tweeted out randomly about this as well, that wasn't included in this, where Tessa Blanchard was I just hope people can move on and da-da-da-da-da. And Chelsea Green was the only thing she's never said is I'm sorry to the people it matters to, so I think if she did an I'm sorry tour, it would do her a lot of good. Especially if she means it, if she actually means it. And even if she doesn't fully mean it, it still is at least showing signs of improvement. I don't fucking know, man. Okay. All I'm going to say is this. Let's give her a chance. And I'm looking forward, if Tessa Blanchard hears this, listens to PWT Confirmed. No, I'm just hoping, though, we get a tweet from Chelsea saying, Tessa did reach out to me. It's not like everything she's done is forgotten, but she did fucking try to make amends with people. And that, I would love for whoever she spit on, for her to contact her and say, I'm a piece of shit and I apologize. And that's a private thing. That's a private thing. That's not a public thing. We need to.
It became public. Look, La Negra Rosa, who the whole thing started. She even tweeted out like we have buried the hatchet. We squashed the beef. We are good.
Wow.
And as I said, has JBL ever apologized? Has Shawn Michaels probably, because he's appointed.
Yeah, well, I've heard JBL sort of not apologize, but he just goes and be's cool with everyone. Like, he'll just walk up to people he used to bully, and now he's just like, "Hey, we're cool now, pal," kind of thing. That's JBL now. He doesn't own up to it, but like what I hear what the stories that have come out online is like, he just kind of comes up and he's cool now, but it's not like, oh, I'm sorry for being a big piece of shit or anything like that. So, yeah.
As I said, this is a business. TNA at the end of the day is fine. Management brought her in. They view her as somebody who's going to help the company.
Yeah. Former world champion for the company, dude.
And she is a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah, look at her shape too. She's in tremendous shape. If you watch that video I got on screen, like, she looks great. Yeah, I don't know. It's a net positive for them. But the outrage was like, this guy here says, like, please don't book that dumb bitch to go over on guys who weigh 280 pounds. Yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
No, that was a Scott D'Amore thing, and Scott is no longer there, and the company is sort of they've become more WWE than you want to admit. Like, they've hung around. They see the product. You don't see intergender matches anymore.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of the spooky stuff. They've toned that down a lot.
Yeah. I don't blame them, man. There's a certain kind of thing working that's really hot in wrestling right now. Why not fucking sort of follow that trend, but make it your own? Like, TNA is at least coming up with their own storylines, and they have their own characters. Like, they have TNA wrestlers that I like, and that are like on the show week to week, So, I mean, that's working. Fucking follow that, So I don't blame them for doing that. But yeah, hopefully something. I don't know, man. And Jordynne's working with her. Like, I'm interested in Jordynne versus Tessa. Take all the bullshit outside of the ring, out of this, right? Let's just look at Tessa and Jordynne. Like, fuck, that's a phenomenal match. Especially if both women be professional, and Jordynne looks very professional the way she sold that goddamn DDT, and this is a business, and she's out of there at the end of the day. So this is who they want her to lay down for. This is the woman who's gonna, hand Juggernaut her L on the way out the company, it seems like. So, and then you got fucking Xia Li and Tessa and shit. Those matches are gonna cook, man. So yeah, and I don't know.
They need because as you pointed out, Kylan King, you're not sure when she's coming back because she just had her kid. You have sorry. Kylan King is not sure when she's coming back because she's injured.
Kylan King was hurt. Kylan King was hurt. She's returning, and then Killer Kelly just had her baby.
Kelly's pregnant, so
she's returning. Yeah,
you can't bring them back both as heels because people are going to want to cheer both of them because, hey, you came back from it. Steffi DeLander, if she comes back, we're not sure when, but she's not going to be a heel because you'll cheer her. Tessa, you want to boo, you want to hate. She knows how to do that. So right now, for a company that's their biggest heel is Rosemary, who great, solid worker, excellent character, but she's been there, done that. But Tessa is the boost that this company needs.
Right. Well, we talked a lot of shit though about Tessa being, the top heel or whatever for TNA, but her contract, she actually shut down Sean Ross Sapp. She shut down, I believe, Dave Meltzer and all of these guys here's Ringside News reporting that Tessa Blanchard has officially set the record straight on her status with TNA Wrestling, contradicting recent reports by SRS of Fightful. SAP reported that Blanchard had signed a TNA contract following her return at Final Resolution. While SAP noted that her return to the company went smoothly backstage, not everyone was thrilled with her presence. He said, everything went smoothly backstage from what I understand. There definitely were some people who weren't exactly thrilled seeing her there, but she is signed to a TNA contract right now. And then she said, she told Joel Torres from Contralona, right now I'm not signed with anyone, not with TNA or CMLL. And
who knows? I mean,
yeah.
we know that TNA brought her in.
Here's a video though, but it's on Espanol. But she does say that like something. I saw another quote where she said TNA. I don't think they have a relationship with CMLL. Like that's AEW's thing. So like she's torn because she loves CMLL, but signing with TNA sort of means she fucks up her CMLL thing. But also this is to a Spanish outlet, so she might just be saying that to try and save face over there. You know what I mean? So yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
At the end of the day, the money in pro wrestling is in the United States. That is what it is. I think she loves CMLL. That's that was her home. It's where friends are. That's where she Daga, her ex-husband, who's she's friendly with Conan, are all in Mexico. But Conan, the money's not there. It's just not. It's never been in Mexico. So for her, TNA is at worst she goes there. She has a career, and she becomes the face of them. At best, she's there for maybe 2 years. And WB then comes calling. They've seen that she's grown enough. Enough people in the women's locker room will accept her and wanted to work with her. So you bring her in, and then you can eventually do what I think they've always wanted. As some people said, Charlotte Flair versus Tessa Blanchard. Who knows? Now, do I know that for a fact? No, I think we're all speculating. But I think I can safely say, for her, this is what she's wanted to do. Go back on TV, go back in America and make money. Because that's what everybody wants to do in pro wrestling is make some money.
Yeah, she just had to dip out and wrestle in Mexico for a while till that heat blew over. But speaking of heat and speaking of WWE, we have a WWE legend from the Harlem Heat, Booker T, who gives his thoughts on Tessa Blanchard's return to TNA. Shout out the Hall of Fame podcast and shout out Brad Gilmore and, of course, the five-time WCW champion.
Some news out there that I did see, just to switch gears. Tessa Blanchard is back in TNA. And the thing is, man, I've already seen criticisms. I just want to put this out there. I've already seen criticism of Tessa Blanchard being back and people still wanting to try to cancel her. Man, y'all get off of it, man. Get off of it. And the thing is, if something was said, if an apology was made and fences were mended, we should be able to move on. One thing about certain things, just say, for instance, that get out there in the social media sphere, everybody know about it, but don't nobody really know what's going on. That's what's really, I'm serious.
100%.
Everybody know about the story, but don't nobody know what's going on. Because, I just like say, for instance, I had 2 girls at Reality Wrestling that had beef. And I said, man, you need to straighten this out. You need to squash that beef. On social media, perhaps social media had picked it up. But social media don't know that these two have, mended that fence. They have been down the road working together. They have tagged together and everything is all good. So my thing is, guys, get off of all of this hate and let Tessa Blanchard hopefully try to resurrect her career and go out there and redo this thing all over again. Try. Let's just look at it as that, a redo. Let's look at it.
Yeah, dude.
That.
Well, look.
Yeah, and hopefully she can say, like, I understand what I did wrong, and I'm not gonna do those things again. Like, and if it happens, again, those are private things. Like, if she apologizes, but she doesn't owe like the public an apology, maybe a little bit to your fans or whatever. But yeah, hopefully she can go to maybe Chelsea or Gigi, or, you know, Chris did say privately she talked to the talent in Mexico that allegedly she spit on, or not allegedly, I guess it was confirmed, but, you know, and that she publicly was like, we're good, we squashed it. Hopefully we can accept that and move on. However, speaking of her, there's some conspiracy afoot, Chris Connor. There's some conspiracy, right?
No, there's always conspiracy with the IWC.
Dave Meltzer talked about how Tessa Blanchard was scooped up by TNA for WWE.
I know what he said. He said it's a trial run that eventually, this could lead to WWE if they feel that she can behave herself, and it's speculating. And look, you got to think. I don't think Dave is stupid. I think he knows exactly what he likes to do. He likes to ruffle the feathers, get everybody hot and bothered when it comes to WWE and TNA. If you notice, when it's AEW, he is pro AEW. He knows where his bread is buttered. When it comes to everybody else, he's just ruffling feathers, throwing stuff out there. There's always a bunch of idiots who'll pay $14.99 to pay for it. And
actually, it's $7.15 right now. Black Friday sale, $7.24. Black Friday sale. I'm not good at math, clearly, but I'm Dave Meltzer. That's the point. The best guys, Tony Khan.
The best guys, Tony Khan.
Chris Connor. So yeah, basically you nailed it though. Dave is saying that essentially TNA's scooping her up for WWE, and my whole thing is anything with negative connotation or negative surroundings, Dave has been attributing to WWE lately. That's my conspiracy theory on top of his conspiracy theory. And who knows, maybe they are putting her there for a trial run and then they'll bring her in sort of Jordynne Grace style. I'm down with all of that. But again, I just hope she mends her fences behind the scenes, like Booker's saying. Booker said it. He's a legend for a reason. So speaking of TNA, though, 2 TNA contracts via Fightful and PW Insider. Jade Chung, who's Josh Alexander's wife, who on my Hired or Fired, I was saying, dude, I don't like her in this position of like announcing people to the ring. I don't like her in that role for whatever reason. I never really did. But she's leaving at the end of the year. Allegedly, though, like, here's the thing. We're going to update you because I got a headline right before we came on the air here. But AJ Francis's deal with TNA is set to expire at the end of 2024 unless a new deal is reached. Those spoken to have said that both sides have enjoyed working together and an extension is possible. Obviously, AJ is going to
I think AJ resigns. I think he is.
Me too. I think he's going to try and get back in WWE. I think he's going to try and maybe work something with AEW because, like, for the big money. But I think TNA just grabs him again because they're doing great business, and it's like, why not? Why? Why would you change anything right now? More money, but I don't think those other companies will give him more money. You know, it'll be like about the same, and he won't be wrestling as much.
Well, he's not a fit for AEW. He is a big man, and big men do not do well in AEW. Just ask Big Bill, Miro, Hobbs, Wardlow, if you can find them. Like, Lance Archer. If you're a big guy, Tony Khan does not book you well. Now, if you're a 5'10", 180-pound guy, Tony loves you like a peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, dude. So I don't know, man. I hope they both stick with TNA. I mean, Jade Chung's whatever. Josh Alexander, I want him to go to WWE. I think he could just be on the main roster.
I don't know. He doesn't. He's not. I like Josh.
Yeah,
but he's 38, going on 39.
Yeah, just
neck surgery. Past neck surgeries. He's not really He's not a big guy. He's sort of in between where.
Yeah, throw him in that US. Throw him in that mid-lower USIC title picture. That's what I'm saying.
You already have guys like Giovanni Vinci who are just like him. You need more of those guys.
I don't know. I think personally, I think Alexander's a better wrestler than fucking Vinci, and I think he's a better talker than Vinci. And Vinci has I'm not shitting on Vinci at all, by the way. I do like him as well, but I think Alexander, dude. I think you could pair him and Ego up again and fucking not like for like a dual heel, like a power trip run in NXT type thing.
Ego's going up to the main roster. That's from what we heard.
Right.
He's earmarked. So
I love it.
And I get. Look, I like Josh. I don't think he brings much value to WWE. He's too much like what they have who are not wrestling, like Legado del Fantasma.
You don't think like you don't think like Alexander versus Gunther and shit would cook? Or
no,
like
no. Okay. If you that well, Josh is not. He's not that big. He's sort of a tweener. If you want that, you know what? Just put in then. JD McDonough instead.
Yeah, you're right. Like they have no, not JD. Come on, he's not Funko. He's not Funko Pop size.
I get it. You're like you love collecting wrestlers. You want to collect everybody. You gotta get them all. Gotta get them all.
No, I fire everyone. I do hired or fireds, bro. I be firing everyone.
No. If you could, you'd bring him. Let's bring him a Turbo Runners. Let's bring in Tonga. Let's bring in a Mike Bailey. Like WWE is he get lost in the shuffle. He is that he fits perfectly with TNA. Bad fit with AEW.
It's stressful. He'd be like Claudio. You're right. He'd just be like a guy where everyone's like, all right, he's awesome, but like, what are they doing with him?
I have a better example. He is Charlie Dempsey.
Okay.
Sort of same build, ground wrestling guy, but neither of them are going to do high risk maneuvers.
So speaking of high risk, well, Kushida's not like an overly high risk guy, I guess. But speaking of smaller guys, I guess PW Insider trying to find a transition here, folks. A segue here. Kushida has also finished up with TNA. You're told he'll be primarily focused on New Japan going forward and left TNA on good terms, so the door's open. Of course, he leaves everywhere with good terms, but damn, he'd be fucking cool in WWE again. But yeah, you're right. Why he did that before. We've seen it before. Do we revisit it? We could, but you're right, because I'm gonna be like, man, I think he could do this and this all optimistically. But Chris is gonna be like, yeah, but you could just put JD in there. You could use Akira Tozawa as well. You'll say you could use Akira, bro. I know what you're about to say.
You could use Axiom. You could use
exactly Axiom. Yeah, so you're right. And he's exactly. But shout out Kushida, love him, and go do good work in New Japan. New Japan needs help.
He is great. New Japan. That's his home. That's where he makes his money. He got brought in when Scott was still there, and him and Motor City Machine Guns are very tight. So it worked. And once Scott left, once the Guns left, it was sort of like, oh yeah, he's still there. And look, he can work. You can put him with anybody, but if your goal is to elevate younger talent, like the guy in TNA is Leon Slater. That's the guy they are grooming as their next AJ Styles. Guys like he's sort of
been there. Like Kushida's been there, done that sort of, and like Leon Slater, to me, he's a guy that it's not clicking with me yet, but those guys always eventually end up getting over. Even like Roman, AJ, like I remember early on, AJ was cool, but he wasn't clicking with me. Like when I was young, I was kind of like, okay, I want to see Jeff Jarrett. And
he's still a kid, so they have time with him.
Exactly.
27, 28. He's like, holy crap, you barely got out of your teens, kid. All right.
So here's a Christmas gift from Zaya Brookside. Underneath your Christmas tree. Merry Christmas to you all. 2025, Chris, is set to be a huge TNA mega on sale. Starts December 20 with a TNA Plus pre-sale on December 18. Don't miss Rebellion in LA, Sacrifice in El Paso, Impact in St. Joseph, Missouri. Is that right? MO. And TNA Slammiversary in New York. Visit TNAwrestling.com for details. I don't want to play the thing. We'll get pulled. But let's just look at that, dude. They got a string of spectacular shows planned out. If you remember, Meltzer was like, this summer's not looking good for TNA. Dude, they did their best business. Now we're going into 2025. They got it planned out. They're going to do amazing stuff. And man, these PLEs could start catching up with AEW's pay-per-views, and then that's a problem. And I don't give a fuck what a weekly TV. I've said it a billion times, but I'll say it again. I don't care what a weekly TV show draws if you do it out of a fucking studio and you make it look nice and the studio only holds 500 people, or you do it where you can run fucking NBA arenas every show. Just as long as the building's dope and it looks nice, like ECW proved that. As long as it's full and you produce good shit, it will work. And I enjoy it. And then do extravagant pay-per-views, loaded, draw huge ass fucking houses. I think that's the right approach for TV wrestling. WWE's able to go to every city and do these big shows. AEW's not able to. Not every other company's able to. But TNA's figuring it out. Let's do these smaller shows in these places, and then our pay-per-views will do something big. And then I mean, NXT's starting to do that too. It's like, okay, we're in the NXT arena, but then we do this PLE or this fucking special 2-night event or whatever, and we fucking do it in a bigger building in St. Louis for the debut on the CW, whatever. AEW's got to start fucking learning, and they're running smaller buildings. Thank God. They're so late to the game, but it's just, they're competing with TNA right now. That's who I'm looking at as neck and neck. TNA versus AEW versus GCW right now, and MLW. It's a 4-way tie at the bottom and in the middle there. AEW's a little bit above, and then TNA's a little bit above everyone else, and then, you got GCW and MLW there. What do you think of all these big shows? Do you have high hopes for TNA in 2025?
I do. I mean, look, they have Joe Hendry, they have Santana, they have the Hardys, Moose. So they have a nice little core of people they can count on to sell tickets. And the Nick Nemeth is there as well. So there you go. There's your core of guys who look the part, are big enough, are physically look like wrestlers, and know how to just have a fan base.
And Zaya Brookside is there.
Unfortunately, Zaya got hurt. I'm not sure where she fits in, but yeah, hopefully.
Although she fits in anywhere, she could just stand there. She could valet. She could just interview people.
What I'm awesome. Curious is going to be, what are they going to do with the money? And do they go after a Baron Corbin, or do they go after?
That's what they got to do, man. Oh, he'd be good in TNA. Who else did they just release? Knox and who else?
Indy Hartwell.
She'd be a great dude. You bring her in with Zaya and Steph, and they have their little Australian faction or whatever. That could be cool, dude. Because we already see Zaya and Steph hanging out, and we know Indy's friends with them. Indy and fucking Steph tagged in NXT, I believe. So. Yeah, you just put them together in TNA. That's awesome shit right there, pal. That's really good shit. And I know Steph isn't back for a while, and then Zaya's not for a while, but you just get them cutting promos and shit with Indy, who does a bit of a singles run, then they can tag and all that. I think there's money in the bank right there waiting to be made. Anyways, though, there may be more TNA departures coming. So Dave Meltzer... And I guess we'll play a fucking flute for this part here. Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week. And this is what we were talking about earlier, but I botched looking it up. However, Meltzer said there may be more coming. One of the things that happened is a lot of the talent were asked to take pay cuts. So apparently a bunch of talent in TNA were asked to take pay cuts, which no one else has claimed other than Dave. Okay, I don't know how many. That was among the reasons Rhino left. This last match was on Saturday, I believe. Which, okay, if that's true, fair enough. And asking Rhino to take a pay cut, it's like, you're not going to use him. You inducted him in your Hall of Fame. You're trying to just pay him to sort of be there and represent the company. And I get why it's like, yes, we need to make a play for a Corbin or something. So if that's your only example, Dave, and you're going to fucking conflate that into many talent were asked to take pay cuts, then that's some bullshit. But anyways, Jade Chung, who's the ring announcer, she left. Her contract was up at the end of the year, so she's done. Josh Alexander, who's her husband, his contract is coming up very soon. It's not a lock that he's leaving, but there's an expectation that he's leaving. He said he's going to test free agency, so it depends on where he gets an offer. All of this stuff was said by other people before, too. Dave never knows about TNA until other people, like you've said this shit already, Chris. Kushida, he's done. The New Japan deal, it feels like the New Japan and TNA deal is done. Kushida was under 2 contracts, a New Japan and TNA. Jordynne Grace is expected to leave when she's done to go to WWE. Yeah, so I mean, nothing like no hot news there, but Dave just sort of making it all doom and gloom. And then today, before we come in the air, Chris, PW Insider reports TNA is in active talks with a number of talents about new deals. So what it sounds like to me is that there was a bit of a renegotiation or some contracts came up, and before they fucking entered their renegotiation period, or like the day they're like, okay, we have a meeting. The office is like, we got to meet on Tuesday, and then we'll fucking make the calls on Wednesday or something. And then the dirt sheets just, whoa, and everyone's like, oh, pay cuts and the house is on fire. And then today it's just like, oh yeah, they're in active talks with a bunch of talents about new deals. So it's like a number of talents. So it just seems like they were just waiting to do some quick math so they could start renegotiating, and the dirt sheets flipped out and the items flipped out like usual. What do you think, Chris?
Credit to BQ of BQ Speaks. He put it as this: you have a lot of talent who got signed to very big deals by Scott D'Amore, because Scott loved to sign people and he loved to throw money around at a lot of people. We saw it with Rhino, Heath, Honor No More, PCO.
Yeah.
He brought in, Giselle Shaw. I mean, he had his group of people, which is great.
Yeah.
And some of the Good Brothers, he signed it. People forget he signed. Good Brothers said we were getting like around $700,000 from TNA for us. It's like so Scott loved to throw money around, and now, but you have new management. They're looking around, and they're going, okay, this is a business. We have, we need to make X amount of money. We need to cut certain costs because these people are getting overpaid. We do not need them. Like Rhino is a guy you look and go, okay, he was great. He's now in his mid-40s. He's slowed down a bit. He's not a guy we're having as a main focal point. Why should we pay him big money when we can try to either get him for a lower deal? If he doesn't want, we let him go, and we parted as friends. We had a great time. We had laughs, but I mean, this happens in the NFL all the time. You sign a guy to a deal for like 4 years, $160 million. You find out, well, he's not doing that well. Then you tell him you get a cut, or you cut him.
Yeah. Well, speaking of cuts, let's head over to MMA, where the cuts, the bumps, the lumps, and the bruises happen a little bit. Now, you guys know here at PWT, well, first off, how about we have a round of applause for our TNA news segment? That was amazing. Chris, Connor, you and I are fight aficionados, and you guys know that whenever we talk about, MMA on this show or boxing or anything, I always tie it to WWE somehow, or pro wrestling in general, AEW, whatever, right? It's always something to do with pro wrestling. So a little bit ago, Logan Paul, he's on his podcast, and I had the clip bookmarked, but it was like removed from Twitter for some reason. So I just got the quote here, but Logan Paul was on the show with somebody and Big Mike Fox, and he claimed that he's retired, and obviously we knew it was in jest. He wasn't serious. He's obviously long-term with WWE. He's going to do this shit forever. But he is like asked about if he's going to fight again, and asked about if he's going to be at Mania 41. And he responded, "I'm retired. I'm a dad, bro," on Impulsive Podcast. And so that's what he said. But then right before we went on the air, Chris, Connor, Logan Paul was announced by Adam Pearce as the newest member of the WWE Raw roster. And I wrote, huge move by Adam Pearce. And so he's going to be on the Netflix Raw. And then he went out there and cut a promo about like Floyd Mayweather wasn't shit. Conor McGregor wants to fight me. We're going to talk about that in a second. And we're going to talk about how that plays into his plans with WWE and TKO and everything, because they're all under the same umbrella. We got stuff from Ariel here. But, you know, he's like, Conor McGregor wants to fight me. What else did he say? He said someone else's name. Chris, I'm forgetting. I was watching the Netflix kickoff. He's like, oh, yeah, payday from the Paul brothers is whatever, is like a blessing. And he's like, I don't care what any of you think, because I'm the guy who does this and you just all are spectators. He's like, Mike Tyson wants to fight me. Conor McGregor wants to fight me. Like, he's like, and I'm going to fight anyone in WWE. Like, in WWE, I'm claiming what's mine. I'm doing what I want from now on. And I'm coming to Raw now. And like, I'm going to be on Netflix. Huge move for Netflix. Obviously, he's not going to be there like week to week, but he'll be on the premiere. Like, that thing seems overloaded with people that are going to be on that thing. But either way, huge move. What do you think of Logan talking shit on his pod like a real good carny, saying, yeah, I'm retired, and then like a week later, no, I'm going to be on Raw on Netflix? What do you think about that?
In other news, water is wet. I mean, we know this about Hogan. He is the ultimate, carnival barker. Him and his brother have done this. When he said, oh, I'm retired, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm retired until the holidays are over. And then I'll come back. I'll do my usual program. I'll take long time off. W loves having him because he draws eyeballs. He is a guy who you can name drop anywhere. And I'll even say this: more people know who Logan Paul is and Roman Reigns.
Dude,
That's scary, but it's true.
Well, it is true.
So, look, I could see him. It's like, okay, you'll do the Royal Rumble. Probably not. Elimination Chamber, probably not. He'll definitely do WrestleMania. He'll be in there with maybe who knows? It could be anywhere from Braun Breaker to
I was gonna say
Cena.
I could see
he's get a high profile match.
I could see him being the guy that really tips Breaker over into that babyface role, because like he can stay the tweener he is, but Logan's such an asshole and he cuts such good promos, and you want to see him get beat up so badly that fucking Breaker could get over like really hot as the babyface. But I could see Logan become an IC champ or a tag champ with his brother. I know Jake's like, nah, I'm a real fighter, but we're gonna see Logan and Jake tag team against someone at some point. So.
Paul does it. I think he's just he wants to get a big world title fight, but Logan's back. I mean, as I said, everything's on the table for Logan. He can do whatever he wants. If he wants to do a feud where he finally turns babyface against Dominic Mysterio, or Dominic turns babyface against Logan, or hey, it's Dom and Logan, or tag team titles.
Yeah,
WWE's going to do whatever. WWE will basically go, well, all right, whatever you want, we will do, because he is money and he prints it for them. So he is back. He has the Roman Reigns schedule, and if people don't like it, well, that is life, unfortunately.
Yeah, and he's a draw, and he's great at what he does, bro. Like in the ring, like outside of the ring, he's a piece of shit, whatever. In the ring, he's goddamn, he's a spectacular athlete, and his promos are so good. Speaking of his promos, he calls out Conor. He's like, Conor McGregor wants to fight me. So randomly yesterday, Conor's, tweeting all this stuff about I've been falsely accused. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Conor's been found liable for, don't say the words, Chris, but how do we say it YouTube friendly? He SA'd a girl, essentially, is what he's found liable for.
He's been accused of being like Mike Tyson, except unlike Mike Tyson, he ain't going to jail. So
okay,
so you can fill in the blank.
There you go. So Conor McGregor, all of a sudden last night, says he's in talks for a boxing exhibition with Logan Paul in India. Okay. So McGregor says rumors of a UFC return fight with Ilia Topuria are false, and Topuria would smoke Conor. Like that's not even a fun fight. I don't even want to see that. Conor will get absolutely destroyed if he fought Topuria. But Conor says the rumors of a bout with Topuria are false. I can't do a good Conor. I am in preliminary agreements with the Ambani family to face Logan Paul in a boxing exhibition in India. No one wants to see that. Logan's like 100 pounds heavier than Conor McGregor, bro. No one wants to see that shit. And of course, I'm being exaggerative for entertainment purposes, but like he's way bigger than Conor McGregor. I will then seek my return to the octagon. So after Conor's craziest year, like, I don't know. Again, I don't like accusing people of shit, but everyone's basically saying Conor's just been coked up and rampaging this year. Okay. And Roadhouse came out and all that shit this year, and he's supposed to fight Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler even showed up on a Raw to be like, yeah, Conor, let's go. And then nothing's materialized. However, though, Conor McGregor and fucking Logan Paul are both under the TKO umbrella, so why they have a vested interest in why not let these two fight an exhibition in India if we can get some money? Or do you think that's some bullshit? Obviously, McGregor and Paul are both bigger than the UFC or WWE themselves. Do you think they'll allow this to happen, or do you think this is just a farce, or do you even want to see this fight?
He's in a weird place, Conor. TKO
Right.
doesn't want to let him go. They don't want to. They don't want him to go to PFL, do pay-per-view, buys, and have him lose money out. They're not going to let him do any of the Paul fights, because it to them is just, we're splitting money. We only want to get a percentage of it. But he's not reliable right now, and they don't know what to do with him. So,
but do you even want to see this fight personally?
Me, no.
And
Sickos, of course. Casuals,
who do you think will win? Who do you think would win this exhibition? I mean, nobody, because it's an exhibition. But like, as far as technique-wise, who do you think is the better
Jake Paul
show?
destroy him. Jake Paul is a trained boxer.
But this is Conor, though. Conor versus Logan is who the fight is. I might have said Jake before by accident, but Logan.
Even Logan. Logan is a much bigger dude than Conor.
He's way bigger, bro. It's ridiculous. So what do you think, them both being under the TKO umbrella, Logan and Conor, do you think this fight goes down, or is this just a farce?
No.
So why is Conor talking shit about it then? And why
because
India?
Because Conor loves to keep his name in the limelight. I think if Conor had it his way, he would do an heartbeat. But Dana White is not letting any of his guys do any crossover, because once you let Conor do it, well, now you've opened the floodgates. Now, next thing you know, Alex Pereira wants to box Anthony Joshua. Hey, I deserve a big payday. Or what? Even better yet, John Jones versus Deontay Wilder. They've been clamoring for that. I mean, once you open the floodgate to Conor versus Logan, everybody's going to ask for it. Everybody's going to start demanding that.
Well, and that's, of course, like the beef with Francis and Ngannou. And Dana White recently said in this last press conference of the year after the last UFC fight night there, he said that, he's got something in the works for 2025 that, like, even we won't believe. Like, it's some shit that we wouldn't think would happen. So my prediction is either Francis and Ngannou, they've worked something out, or Jake Paul in the UFC. I could totally see Dana folding and doing that, because with the monies the Saudis are throwing around, I just think they're able to talk people into these crazy things. But India, why India? Like, how the fuck does India pull this off, and why there? Like, why is he so specific about that, if you had to guess, and if it's a farce?
I just don't know. I mean,
it's so weird. It's so weird.
Here's what I heard from somebody, a bunch of MMA friends. The plan or the goal long term would be Conor McGregor versus Paddy Pimblett. They want that fight. It's the changing of the guard. Paddy can be, he's already a big hot commodity right now. He can be like then the face of a UFC. He is a Dana White supporter right now.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest? I think Conor smokes Paddy Pimblett right now. Still, I think Conor smokes that guy. I don't know why. I just don't think Pimblett is nearly as good as people think he is. Just me watching him fight. I don't know. Or it's not. I don't think it was even about him being good. It was just the hype behind him. And I just think he needs matchups, or else he struggles already. And I know Pimblett's getting better, but he also gets so huge between camps, and I just don't think, like, fighting to him, he's already like, oh, I'm making money. Like, it's just not good for those young guys. You got to be hungry. That's what makes people like Conor, like, his rise was so great, the greatest ever in the sport. Or like an Anderson Silva, he was contemplating retiring, and then he goes to the UFC and is the greatest of all time, you could argue. That's the shit that makes people great. Pimblett's getting $1 million deals before he even gets in the fucking octagon. It's like you don't even the hunger's not there. And to me, I think Conor would fucking smoke him, in my opinion. But hey, that's just me. Anyways, though, moving along here, Dana White. So this is what Ariel had to say. Like his theory wasn't. So this is. Let's play an X-Files, okay? But Ariel Helwani, right? Noted WWE shill. No, I'm just kidding. That's what they all like to say, though. He apparently thinks that Dana was alluding to McGregor versus Paul in the UFC, Logan Paul, because again, the TKO umbrella, and it's like, I don't know. I think Logan's so big. How do you make that happen? You make Logan cut down and then let Conor bulk up. That's just, those matchups are weird. But I don't know. Ariel with his big old nose there, and Ariel does know. Ariel knows, right? And I love Ariel, by the way. But he's alluding to, hey, this could be Conor versus Paul. They're both under the TKO umbrella in the UFC. But then Conor just comes out and says, oh, no, it's a boxing match in India. So it seems so far-fetched and weird. It all seems weird. I think Jake Paul and a PFL crossover, because I think PFL is going out of fucking business. And people are telling Dana, like, you should buy it and stuff. And he's like, what? What am I buying? And you have, like, Patricio Pitbull begging to get out of his contract. And you have fucking all of that. So all I'm saying is that if Logan Paul is going to take a fight, it's going to be against a Conor or a Mike Tyson. It's going to be some freak show bullshit. Ariel might be onto something here. Ariel knows. Shout out the Helwani show and the boys in the back. Let's take a listen to this. Chris Conor.
On Saturday, at the post-fight press conference in Tampa, Dana White alluded to the fact that he had something in the works, something big up his sleeve for 2025. In case you missed it, here's what Dana White said.
I anticipate a lot of big fights. I got something in the works right now. I'll drive you fuckers crazy. All you guys will be running around. I got something in the works that you will never fucking see coming for 2025. That literally started to come together last night. And we got some fun stuff coming up.
Was Dana White alluding to that fight? No idea. I have not talked to Dana, believe it or not, as of this morning. Maybe we'll talk later today. But I do not know. This would certainly qualify as something kind of out of left field that people would get worked up over. And so that's where things stand. Oh, by the way, Logan Paul reacting on social media with this. Some eyes.
Yeah, so Logan Paul responded with some eyes about this exhibition in India. So maybe UFC co-promotes this exhibition match, and maybe it's they promote it in India. Like, hear me out. In India, they promote it as like UFC versus WWE for their media. Like, you know how they get down in India, bro. Like, Great Khali shows up for Jinder Mahal. He grabs the belt and holds it up. Like, right? Like, Jinder hands him the title for 1 second so the Indian media can get their picture of Khali holding the belt again. And there were fucking headlines saying he's back in WWE and the champion and all this shit. Like, they do crazy shit out there. So, this could be UFC versus WWE in India, and they sort of pull off this thing as maybe see how many eyeballs they can get on it before they actually run with it in America, where they got to try and fill a big building or something. No,
as Marcel said, Dana White will never allow sideshows in the UFC.
In the UFC. But in India,
it's still the UFC. To him, like they were dragged, kicking and screaming to the Floyd Mayweather fight, and they got that because they knew it was 4 million pay-per-view buys. It was
right, and Dana took half the fucking money. Dana took half of Conor's money for that too, right?
Yes,
so
that was like, okay, we can't pass that up.
Yeah,
this is not on the same level, and ever since the Conor versus Mayweather fight, everything with Conor has gotten much more difficult. Look, I think there's a better chance of Ronda Rousey coming back to the UFC We laugh, but I mean, if Dana, I could see Dana going to Ronda, go, look, just one more final fight. We'll give you somebody like a Juliana Pena, maybe
Dude,
Misha
she could,
3, 4, just a final way to say goodbye. Like
she could be the co-main. She could be the co-main on this India card, WWE versus UFC, bro.
He won't do it.
Dana also said that he would never fucking co-promote. In fact, the reason Fedor Emelianenko never came to the UFC is because Fedor's one demand was, okay, you can give me this money, whatever, but it's got to be UFC and M1 Global, like co-promote whatever fight Fedor's on, right? And and to Dana's credit, he's like, no, M1 Global, like that's some dead fucking thing that like who gives a shit about that. However, Dana allowed the Saudis to co-promote something he said he'd never do. It was like the Saudis and UFC present UFC Noche or whatever at the Sphere.
But
so
quick, let me jump in.
Yeah.
The Saudis don't co-promote. It's like lending their name out. The UFC goes, okay, we'll take that.
But Dana said he'd never, right, co-promote's not the right word. I'm a fucking noob. You're right. Thanks for checking me on that. But you get what I'm saying. Like, they wanted it to be UFC and M1 Global present. So the Saudis were literally like Riyadh season and UFC present for UFC Noche. Dana said he'd never do that. You don't think that in India he'd be willing to go UFC and WWE present this fucking freak show? Okay, all right, fair enough. And on Netflix, they do it in India to fucking 90,000 people on Netflix, bro. You don't think so?
Nope. And I'll tell you why.
All right.
And because this has been explained to me by several people.
Yeah.
Dana does not want to get involved with pro wrestling. He has tried hard to make UFC as, hey, this is real. This is not fake. This is not scripted, no false finishes. Pro wrestling is wrestling, that's fine, but this is real. If he gets involved, you start worrying about blurring the lines. Like, okay, so this is scripted. So when is next thing going to be scripted? Is UFC scripted? Oh my God, they're going to fix this. There's a better chance of him becoming a boxing promoter and start, doing his own boxing stuff on the side.
Yeah,
he's been adamant about it. He will not do it. He doesn't even want to do PLEs. And you and me have talked about to talk to people like he is being in it. They've tried dragging him, kicking and screaming to do PLEs, and he's like, nope, it's pay-per-view. So
yeah.
Look, as I said, I think next year we get John Jones versus Tom Aspinall.
Oh,
I wouldn't even be surprised if he's working on a way to get Pitbull in there against Paddy Pimblett. Hell, as I said, I still wouldn't rule out either Brock Lesnar coming back. That's that thing. If they could, they would make it. That's more Brock's family going, no, we don't want you to fight. Yeah. Or Ronda Rousey in a retirement fight. She just finally goes, all right, I'm going to do one more fight. Let's do Misha Tate and Ronda because they hate each other. And Ronda rides off into the sunset with a victory. And she can...
You know what the beautiful part about what you're saying is, though, Chris, is that all of these people are under the TKO umbrella that you're bringing up. So it could happen. I could see a co-promote, maybe not with WWE, but I could see, I don't know, man. They show WWE superstars all the time. Rob Van Dam got a fucking pop at the UFC. I think it's more, we're seeing more of it. And as Dana gets phased out of the company, I'm scared for when Dana leaves UFC. I really am.
On his Instagram. His story, by the way, he did that. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Nice little background. I guess he has a good team behind it. But there you go. He's reacting to it as well. Reached out to some more parties, and as of now, everyone is quite tight-lipped. But I can tell you that there is validity here. Does it end up happening? Does it come to fruition? This isn't just a thing that is pulled out of nowhere on a Tuesday morning. And the Jake stuff is interesting as well.
Yeah, the Jake stuff is interesting as well. Also, we have some MMA news here. Did you see Colby Covington come out with Hulk Hogan to Real American?
I did.
And then Colby went on to get his ass beat pillar to post by Joaquin Buckley and fucking get his eye sliced off almost. And like Dana White was like, in Vegas, that fight doesn't get stopped. And I'm sitting there like, dude, his eyelid was it looked like it was gonna fall off or something. Like, I don't know. To me, I wasn't mad. Like, okay, why? You want us to just sit here and watch Colby get the shit beat out of him for 3 more rounds? Like, I don't need to see. It's definitive. Joaquin beat his ass and has improved. And yeah, I don't know. The Hulk Hogan curse, like, well, I don't know. Trump won the election, but yeah, Colby did not win this fucking thing. And he came out to Real American instead of the regular Kurt Angle theme. And yeah, what were your thoughts, I guess, on that and him coming out with Hulk Hogan?
I know both Keith Schillen of Sherdog and Marcel Dorf both told me, look, Buckley's winning this fight. If it's standing, if Colby can't take it to the ground, then Buckley will stop him. He's on a different plane. His striking has improved. He's no longer at middleweight, so he's a big welterweight. Colby, you look and go, the only 2 guys he's beaten lately have been one guy who's no longer in MMA, in the UFC or MMA altogether, in Jorge Masvidal, and the other guy is a guy who basically last time we saw him got knocked out in a boxing match against Jake Paul, Tyrone Woodley.
Yep.
He hasn't won a fight against anybody who's decent in the UFC. I give him credit. This is a guy who was at one point getting probably released by the UFC if he lost his next fight. He was boring. He was just a plain wrestler. He tapped into he tapped into the Chael Sonnen, Conor McGregor,
who's right here, by the way. Chael Sonnen's right next to him as well. I forgot to mention that. One of the greatest, like he would cut like pro wrestling promos for those unfamiliar. Everyone's familiar with Uncle Chael. Like, he's a travesty that he's never been in the WWE for like a stint, doing something, like not even wrestling, like just doing something. But anyways, Colby scratched and clawed his way, as you were saying, wins the title and does the damn thing, creates these waves, does the MAGA thing. Trump's there to support him. He fucking loses. Hulk Hogan's here to support him. He loses. I don't think the UFC ever cuts him, but I don't know who he really fights next. Like, he's basically just a glorified jobber at this point. Not to diss Colby or anything, but he's just not as fast. His takedowns aren't as good. He can't throw the combos like he used to. He seems undersized for a lot of these welterweights. And yeah, I don't know what they do with him next. And yeah, Hulk Hogan notably using this fucking thing as like a cane here too at the start. So hopefully he's doing well. But yeah, just promo for this Real American beer, which my conspiracy is UFC people are bought into that shit, or someone is. Matt Riddle is still collecting paychecks from the UFC thanks to the lawsuit. So there was a class action lawsuit where, with the UFC, where a lot of these fighters are all getting paid out now, and there's like a website you go to, you can collect these checks. And so Matt Riddle is part of that. And he gets paychecks from the UFC now moving forward, like once a month. I don't know how much it is, $2,500 or $1,200 a month or whatever. I don't know. But it was a big settlement that happened. Matt Riddle's one of the guys. He was like a really good talent, but Dana White buried him infamously and was like, this guy's a dumb fuck. He'll never do anything, because he failed like weed tests. So he failed like marijuana tests. Now marijuana, you can smoke weed and you don't fail for THC in UFC. But he went on to become this big pro wrestling star in WWE, and then they merged with TKO, and then not long after, like, Matt Riddle's fucking gone. He's persona non grata. I don't think that's a coincidence. I think Dana really doesn't fucking like Riddle, and with how he likes to party and some of the shit that comes out about him, I think they're better washing their hands of it. Matt Riddle has expressed he'd like to go and finish off the RK Bro story if he could, but yeah, I don't know. Basically, he has his perspective of his WWE release, and this is courtesy of Ringside News. He's saying like he's really enjoying his life, in that sense that if I don't want to do something, I don't have to do it. I can make choices now. That was something I hadn't been able to do for a long time, even before WWE. The only way we get there was by basically giving up that kind of control. So it was a good decade or so of not having any say over my life, my time, or my schedule. And yeah, Matt Riddle's like, I thought this is good when I got released. I looked at the pros and cons, and he's like, I don't work for TNA TKO anymore. He's like, the pros, Dana White's not my boss. I don't work for TKO. So he knew it was something, but he's like, I'm still getting paid from UFC, so thank you, TKO and UFC. So, yeah, that was his statement to Ringside News. So, yeah, I don't think him and Dana really like each other too much, and I don't think a Matt Riddle return is in the future anytime soon in the UFC or WWE. And it's cool he's taking indie bookings. We see him showing up at like birthdays, but Riddle's a guy I'm surprised that hasn't like tried to call out a Jake Paul. Well, I think he did, but I think they know he'd smoke him. Like especially in MMA. So I don't know in boxing. I think honestly the Pauls could probably take Riddle in a boxing match, but I'd love to see it because Riddle really, if you look at his record, he was a phenomenal talent and really got caught because of weed. And who knows what he would have been in the UFC. Thank God he had his run in the WWE. However, yeah, if I'm him, I'm trying to get one of these freak show fights before people stop caring about this shit. However, with the Netflix like a TKO relationship with all that, his options are becoming more and more limited in that department. So what are your thoughts on Matt Riddle and everything I'm babbling about?
Oh God, I think WB just looked after a while, looked at Riddle and went, we gotta get rid of this guy. He's under the influence. He spouts off his mouth. Goldberg can't stand him. Lesnar wouldn't want to deal with them. Seth Rollins got fired, fed up with them. Then, the whole, the TSA agent who he accused of getting molested by, which that didn't happen.
It was crazy.
He's an idiot. I mean, look, and I even know, but his current wife he had, she was married, she was with somebody else. He got involved in that, didn't care. He's an idiot, and that's why you haven't seen like AEW or WWE, even TNA, like seriously offer him a deal because you're just worried, like, okay, what's he gonna do next? What are we worried about? I mean, he's the guy that if you said, oh yes, pro wrestler, XWE pro wrestler got arrested for being drunk and naked in the main streets. Details 11. You would go, that's probably Matt Riddle. So
I love Matt Riddle, but
yeah.
Yeah, I've been a fan of him since like even on the Ultimate Fighter and shit. I was like a fan of this dude. So it's just funny like to see, like I remember when he started pro wrestling too. I was like, what? That's so weird, but he had such a good character. And then he just blew. I was like, okay, that's awesome, but I don't know if this guy ever be in WWE. Boom, he's in WWE, like getting world title shots, fucking teaming with Randy Orton of all people. It's like amazing. But yeah, it's just Dana White and TKO get aligned with WWE, and then he's persona non grata. And yeah, Chris calls him an idiot. I'm a little more I don't want to call him an idiot. He flies by he marches to the beat of his own drum.
There's a lot of guys like that, but think of it like you are in the middle of a program with Randy Orton and Roman Reigns. Just don't screw it up. Just keep sober. Anybody could do that, and
at least in the airport, bro. At least in the airport, okay? The TSA touches everybody's dicks, bro. You gotta do some shit. It's fucked up, but we all got to deal with it if you want to fly on planes after 9/11. All right, that's what. I'm just kidding.
I know. We all kid, but it's like you just look at him. It's like he could have been a great star. He had the look, he had the athleticism, he had the
legitimacy behind his actual ability to fuck people up.
Yes, and it was like it was constantly like, gotta stop smoking weed. Nope, I gotta do it. It's like you gotta stop partying. No, you gotta do it. I mean, I bet if you got Randy Orton in the truth serum, he probably would have looked at Orton at Riddle and went, "Oh my God, this guy's like he won't grow up. He's just an idiot." He was part of Drew McIntyre, a program with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. So you knew the company had big plans. He was feuding with the Usos and Roman Reigns. And the fact they fired him because he couldn't keep sober and couldn't behave on an airplane, that's just idiotic behavior.
That's just Ric Flair, brother. Woo! No. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you is this was in a shoot wrestling match, dude. This is in a shoot wrestling match. You ready? And this person got disqualified for this. Watch this.
Watch out! And his name is John C.
And I don't know why they played the John Cena thing, but this guy hit an RKO in a wrestling match and got disqualified for real. That's pretty fucking dope, dude. That's amazing. All right, let's just play that again a couple times. Boom. How cool is that? And then he got DQ'd. And the other guy was legit selling it because I'm sure that didn't feel nice to just faceplant like that. But what do you make of that, man? That's pretty crazy. We saw Walls of Jericho in a fucking MMA match a handful of years ago. You know, we got an RKO here. We've seen pile drivers and Pride, power bombs from Rampage. What do you think when people like start trying shit like this? Luckily, nobody got hurt, but I think that's cool as fuck, and that's a great way to fucking wrap up this segment.
It's cool looking, but when you know that, like he could have killed the kid because
yeah,
you're dropping
killed him.
guy.
Yeah, dude.
It's like, yeah, this is why this is why we say
next stuff is sketchy, bro. Next stuff, bro. Neck slams and cranks. Those shits are sketchy, dude. Yeah, and that was our MMA segment. Round of applause for MMA segment, ladies and gentlemen. And round of applause for our guest today, Chris Conor. Man, thank you so much for coming through and doing this. I had an abundance of TNA and MMA news, and I couldn't think of anybody else. MMA news as it pertains to pro wrestling, folks, but I couldn't think of anybody else to talk to about that stuff than my good pal, Chris Conor. Thank you so much for being on episode 85 of PWT Podcast. And
thank you for having me.
Man, any fucking time. You already know my guy. And we're recording this on Wednesday. So last night I did a live show, but actually it's in a few hours from now, but it's time cop. So make sure you check out PWT live show Wednesdays and Saturday nights. Make sure you check out PWT run-ins on Mondays or Tuesdays or whenever I decide to do a run-in. Patreon.com/prowrestletimes. I'm fucking up right now, Chris Conor. And you can find Chris Conor over at the Last Call podcast. And he is at Last Call with Chris C on X. Make sure you guys give him a follow. You can find me on his show all the time talking mess. I'm sure I'll be there soon. Chris, is there anything else you want to tell the good folks before we get out of here?
No, you can check me out at lastcallpodcast.com. I'm also on YouTube. Just dropped an interview with War Dog Apollo. I'm on Instagram. I'm on X. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. And yeah, we're going to be, Phil, always on. A pleasure being on your show.
Man, the pleasure is all mine. And yeah, dude, you have yourself a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know I'll talk to you in DMs if we don't broadcast together before then. But if you need a mic that's hot, brother, let me know and I will come through. And yeah, thank you all for being here, folks. PWT Christmas special goes down on the 25th as well. Believe it or not, chat. I will be popping in for a couple hours with a very special, unique Christmas show. It will be a festive holiday show that I have planned out. I wrote a script for it and everything, so make sure you're there. Thank you for joining us here on PWT. We will see you next time in the Upside Down. Hug each other, love each other, peace.